investigating the podcast, there's a playlist that we've created with some good tunes on there. So I think if over the next week we put some absolute bangers in there, then maybe people might find something new. So that could be a good way of finding some good tunes. Maybe
we can cultivate such an audience that we can propel a band to be the next Beatles.
I'd love that. Imagine. We'd be like John Peel.
Yeah.
A bit thinner.
Flight. We'll pick Flight. Flight's going to be the band, guys. Everyone like Flight, buy their music and follow them.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of Flight, actually, there's some great music from the guy who left Flight I think it was last year, maybe.
Who left?
So there were 4, and one called Sam left, and now there are only 3, obviously. But Sam's done his own.
Keys player.
Yes, keys, and sometimes guitar.
Out of all of them, I thought it might be him.
Yeah, he's great actually. I sort of roughly know him as well, and he's a great lad. And the music that he's putting out as a solo artist is incredible. So I'd highly recommend that. That's going straight on the Blokes podcast list for sure.
Oh yeah, I'm well up for that. What's his? Is it under his name?
Yes, Sam Berridge.
Yeah, Sam Berridge. I'm 100. I need to check that out. He was great. I always loved him. His harmonies were just so.
You're gonna love it.
You could tell he was. You could. I feel like I had the idea that he was maybe like the MD almost.
Yes,
of maybe a lot of the orchestration of especially the singing, like the BVs and stuff.
I mean, we went to see him a good few times, didn't we? And they, there was just from what they were saying on stage, little jokes and stuff. You know, it just made it seem like he was sort of musically the boss. But yeah. So I mean, Flight are also putting out some great stuff now as well. I think it's. It's still incredible, but it seems to me like this whatever Sam was putting into the band is missing a little bit because it's just lost that like extra percent that makes it 100%. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
we're coasting on 99 at the moment, which is still incredible and it's still better than most crap out there that you hear. But his first single was called "Save Me," and that was fantastic. Yeah, so give that a listen. "Save Me" by Sam Berridge. What are you drinking in the second half? What have you got there?
Okay, so I've hit the whiskey stores pretty hard over this lockdown, over this year. Like I'm glad I had a decent stockpile because I'm getting to the. I'm not getting near the end of it, but I'm getting near to the sort of nice bottles that they don't deserve to be just opened by me. Like there needs to be like a few mates around for these or a special occasion or something. So I've basically come to a backup and I found this bad boy and I've completely forgot about this in a sort of hidden cupboard in my house.
Oh, nice. And I like those kinds of cupboards.
Oh, yeah. You're going to love this one, actually. This is Platte or Plate Valley 100% straight corn whiskey.
Oh, nice.
And I bought this in Florida when I was there, a long time ago.
Oh, look at that.
And it's in like a proper like moonshine jug.
Yeah.
Like...
what is it like?
Out of like a prohibition film.
Looks like clay or like pot or something, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's pottery. Yeah, it's like some sort of pottery.
Simple blue writing on it as well. Great.
Yeah, it's they know. Here we go. We've got some information here. It's 3 years old.
Nice.
So it's young. Yeah, it's the it meets the minimum requirements to be called whiskey, I think, in America. So it's as close to moonshine as you can get, but with the whiskey label on it. But yeah, so it's 40% and it's 100% corn. So I think I mentioned this last week actually about, or maybe a week before, about corn whiskey and the difference in it. And I don't know if you can tell, you probably won't be able to tell on the camera, but it's super yellow.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't want to lower the tone, but it looks like pee.
Yeah, it's like a urine sample.
Yeah.
Smells just like it. No. on the smell, it's a pretty old whiskey, so it's lost a bit of its bite and a bit of its punch because it's been sort of half empty for like a year or two, longer than that even. So it's definitely lost some. Like they say, I've just saved this from a lonely cupboard. But on the taste, it's buttery. If that's even a word you would describe whiskey, it's so strange.
Yeah,
it's like almost like popcorn with butter on it. I don't know if you've ever had that.
Yeah, definitely.
So
I know
it's got
exactly
that sort of like grainy flavour to it, but it's sort of, and it's almost sweet, but it's more creamy, buttery kind of flavour on it. It's lovely. It's really, really nice. Like I say, I really suggest if you want to get an idea, especially if you want to delve into sort of American whiskies, try and get a rye, try and get a bourbon, and try and get a corn whiskey, and sort of they're going to give you the big differences between the sort of American whiskies, similar to having an Islay Speyside and maybe a Highland malt whiskey from Scotland.
Yeah.
That's how you're going to get your sort of American palate, your variety. You're going to sort of get an idea of how where the flavors come from. So yeah, it's good stuff.
Sounds incredible, mate. I can't wait to try it. Post lockdown, I've saved me a dram.
100%.
So I've gone sort of similar ballpark, right? Because the same night, in fact, last Friday when I was making this fried chicken, I got these Gamma Ray beers. I was like, you know what? I love a what's it called when you have a whiskey and a beer at the same time? Is it a boilermaker?
Half and half. Oh well, what when you put the whiskey in the in the beer?
Like you just have a whiskey chaser, but it's a name. There's a name for that, right?
So in Scotland they call it you'd order a half and half, and you get half a pint and you get a dram.
Right.
But I don't know what the American. Yeah, I don't know what the American would call that.
I wonder if there's boilermaker. Yeah, just googled it. I was right the first time. So cool. Yeah, I just love that. Drinking a beer and a whiskey at the same time is great.
Yeah,
great fun, especially if you're eating American foods. So I just got times are tight, so I just went for a Jim Beam.
Oh yes,
Jim Beam bourbon, right? And one of these classic Kentucky straight bourbon whiskies, right? Mm-hmm. And it's just, it's super sweet, like sort of cakey, Christmas cakey. It's quite, compared to yours, it's quite a dark colour. Yeah, I guess it's. I don't know whether there's any sort of artificial enhancements involved. There perhaps might be with Jim Beam, one of these big ones. But it looks great, smells great, nice and sweet. In terms of bourbon, straight down the line. It's similar to Jack Daniel's. There's nothing too crazy about it, but it's a great price, and it was exactly what I wanted. I just wanted, I'm not having it there to sip. I was chugging it basically. Got back from work on a Friday. It was like frying up this chicken, chugging the booze. Yeah. And it was brilliant. Yeah, it did the trick. Tasted good. Especially when there's lots of other strong flavors going on. I put lots of strong flavors in this chicken, and there's lots of big hearty stuff, and the beer's quite flavorful. I was like, I just want something that's going to cut through a little bit, and this Jim Beam did the trick for sure. And like I said, for £16, it was a winner.
Yeah, for sure. No, Jim Beam's good. I think out of the two, between the sort of they're the most popular sort of American whiskies, aren't they? So Jack Daniel's and Jim Beam. I think I prefer Jim Beam. Yeah, I don't know where you land on that.
Yeah, I do. From my relatively limited bourbon experience, I'd take a Beam over a Daniel's for sure.
Yeah.
Especially because Leonard Skinner used to have that Jim Beam guitar. Do you remember?
Yeah.
He must have done some sort of deal. And
yeah.
So good.
God, that must have sold so many bottles.
Oh, yeah.
the South loved them. Oh, man. Yeah. Still do.
Yeah, waving the Confederate flag at the gigs. Yeah. Van Zandt has just got a massive, sort of like David Lee Roth when he's flying the Stars and Stripes at the Van Halen gigs. But Van Zandt is flying the Confederate flag at Skinner gigs.
Yeah. Great. That's good. There's a great song, goddamn, Brad Paisley, a song about racism, I think. But anyway, basically the lyric is...
Oh, God. I've heard it.
Have you heard it? It's
LL Cool J.
Great album, that. Yeah.
It is not a great album. It's a terrible, terrible album.
Bloody good album, that. Bloody good album. Real good, real down-to-earth country.
Oh, God.
But there's a lyric in there about how he's apologising to this guy for offending him for wearing a Leonard Skinner t-shirt because it had the Confederate flag on it.
Yeah,
and it's basically just explaining the fact that he doesn't really care about the Confederacy, but he cared about Leonard Skinner.
Yeah,
basically, I don't know. It's a terrible song. It's horrendous, but it's hilarious at the same time.
It is. Yeah, I think.
What is that? Is it Wheelhouse? Was it that album?
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Rap and country should never, ever, ever, ever mix. Just don't. Hip hop and country is just not a thing that should go together. Both great in their own right. Don't mix them together. That's Brad Paisley been told for today. Sit down, Brad. No more.
Dear, oh dear. It's good stuff. I want to get that out. In fact, I might be. It's in my. I'm looking at my CD collection right now, and I'm going to whip it out and put it on tonight. I think.
Nice. Oh, jeez. You should have quit after the first 4 albums, I think.
You're right.
Oh yeah, the first 4 were great. Maybe even 5. Yeah, because Fifth Gear was the 5th one, right?
Yeah,
I think.
I listened to a lot of Moonshine in the Truck. You ever heard that one?
Is that Brad Paisley?
That's Brad Paisley again, yeah.
Oh, that might have been even... Is that more recent than Wheelhouse?
I think that's the one after Wheelhouse.
I've got to be honest, again, LL Cool J tainted my Brad Paisley experience so much that I've just not even given... I'm not even giving it air, any of the stuff after that.
Fair enough. I mean, it's pretty heinous, isn't it? But this was when I first started getting into country. I was like, oh, who should I listen to? Brad Paisley. Oh, what's his latest album? Which may not have been the correct way into country music. But so it's got a place in my heart. Nice. Those songs.
You know who I have found recently? In fact, one of our beloved listeners, Eric, who might be making another appearance next week, he suggested Luke Combs to us, right? And I'd heard of his name but hadn't listened to any stuff, and listened to his albums, and they're great. He's got some really, really good songs. There's nothing cheesy in there. There's no fanning about. It's just good, honest. I mean, it's quite modern sounding. It's very shiny and very in-your-face sort of country rock, pop country rock, that sort of thing. But of that particular style, it's amazing. I love it. I think he's done a really great job.
Yeah, man. To be fair, that's my. That's where I like to live. The country rock, the country pop rock is sort of my wheelhouse with the country thing. I love a lot of different styles of country, but if I just want to switch off and just listen or drive in my car, he's the kind of guy I want to listen to. Or Cadillac 3 or Brothers Osborne. Those kind of guys that are just, sort of some nice riffs, but also some decent
great
country lyrics. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's he's right up my alley. He was good. He is very good.
2 beer related things that I just wanted to tell you about.
Okay.
So you might be familiar with the singer JP Cooper, right? Pop guy, sort of dreadlocks, had a few hits in the last few years. He's actually started a microbrewery, right?
Okay.
And it's called Grey Skies Brewery. And I think he had an album called that.
Right.
And Under Grey Skies was the album. And he's basically made a microbrewery called Grey Skies, right? And I had one of these beers the other day. It was called Studio Session, which I quite liked, like session ale, but studio session.
Okay.
And again, it's those same sort.
Oh, are you a musician? Do you like music?
Like music, do you? Yeah, doing all right with music.
Do you like recording in the studio?
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah,
no, I love it. But yeah, I tried one of these beers, and it's great. I've got to say, he's done a fantastic job. I think he's sort of started it with, I'm guessing, with a few other people. But it's all the the branding and stuff is like quite significant to him. But yeah, it's fantastic. I only tried that one, and I know he's got a couple of different beers under that sort of umbrella. But I had the Studio Session standard IPA, and that's well worth a go.
Awesome.
So that was my first little beer nugget. Secondly, I know it's probably not true at all, but there's a photo / meme going round of a beer pump, a cask somewhere in some pub, and somebody's printed out a little logo called Substantial Meal, and they've put it on the thing. You know how we can't go to the pub unless it's with a substantial meal. So I'm just praying to God that someone actually makes it, right? A beer called Substantial Meal. It's like hearty and fulfilling, 5.1% or something. Like,
that's good. Yeah, man. Although I did see a good thing today where apparently a Scotch egg counts as a substantial meal, which
really
I'm all for. Yeah.
Oh, we're saved. So
if this encourages more Scotch eggs being on the bar ready for consumption, I'm 100%